Hello, dear everybody. Warm welcome to the 28th Ask Me Anything session with Peter. Wonderful to have you here with us from far away from Japan. It's 1 o'clock in the mornings. And you've got the flu, and it's amazing that you make this to join us here.
It's wonderful to. Are you hearing me? Yeah, I think you are.
Yes.
So, hello everybody. It's wonderful to be here. My voice has dropped 2 octaves because I've got a little bit of a cold. It's not too bad, and I'm very happy to uh, be here today. And it's unusual. I'm sitting in a kitchen on a hill on an island in Japan, uh, sort of southeast, far away from Tokyo. In Kobe, I've been driving, going on trains and buses, and been in baths, and yeah, I'm having a very Japanese time at the moment.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Antonia. Thanks for hosting the technical part of the evening and to prepare the meeting with me together. Yeah, my name is Sylvia Brenzel. I think most of you know me already, but just to those, I'm part of Peter's community since quite a while already, since around 15 years or even some more years. And I'm very happy to collaborate also with Nadia Taranchevsky, the founder of ConsciousU, offering this wonderful space and room here where we can, yeah, have the exchange with Peter. And it's already the 28th time that we are meeting in this frame, which is
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and we have some little rituals already in this space, and one of the ritual is to invite you, Peter, to give us some little introducing words, some food for thought, and then we go into breakout sessions to yeah to crystallize the ideas and the thoughts you probably brought here. So, but before we do that, the floor is yours, dear Peter. Would you like to? Yeah,
So, so,
to
so just
introduce.
briefly, and just to say, I realize I'm speaking. It's a little dark here. It's not dark in my room, but this is as light as I could make it. But I think I'm just about visible. Um, what I'd like to share today, about 3 evenings ago in Tokyo, I shared the floor for an event of about 50 people, um, with the inventor of the CD of Sony, who's 83 years old, was their director for a number of years, and also the robot dog. Um, and it was very amusing. He's 83 and he still runs actually now a consciousness school. And um, and he's quite a controversial figure. And I called him a naughty man several times and was as rude as I could be to him, um, with a little bit of humor. And we had great fun together. But the main essence I wanted to share, um, with the society here, because they're very, uh, you may know, Japan is a very conformist society. And with our work, with money work, with reclamation work, we do, we go beyond conformity very often with our reclamations. And so everybody here bows to each other. And I was sharing that, in Europe, we don't tend to bow to each other. And what would it mean to the Japanese if they stopped bowing to each other? It would mean that they're impolite. And I was suggesting that this would be quite good, that the Japanese could start being a little less polite with each other. It would be maybe an advance. Um, but the main point behind that was around the subject of reclamation. And the point I was really making was that, and I'd like to share with you now, is that any therapy, any coaching, any healing that is done, I consider to be a reclamation, in terms of a reclamation of an identity, an internal part of us, which has been previously disassociated. And why I feel like emphasizing it more than ever, maybe I've mentioned this before on Amma, is that people tend to, once they've had a good healing or a good therapy or a good coaching, tend to place the cause of it, of the result, on the person who has been helping, the healer or the therapy or the coach, or on the process. And I'm insisting now that it's not to do with the process. So my friend, I had the meeting with Tengesan, he's really putting out meditation as the cure-all. And I said, well, actually, I don't meditate. I was being a bit provocative with him, of course. And I said, I don't meditate, but actually I honor his meditation. But the thing is, it's not about a meditation. It's not about the clauses we use, the phrases we use when something works. It's really the source of this is you as a person. And if you don't see yourself as source of your healing, that you are doing this, if you don't see yourself as source of the process, then actually you are limiting the result of the process because you project onto the person or you project onto the process. So it's unlikely to sustain all the way through. And why I consider this so important is that we see in the world now many so-called, you could call them gurus of various processes with very large followings. But I believe, and I like to put it out straight right now, is that they don't, it's not a criticism of them, but I believe that if the people are following them in a kind of dependency, they're not going right to the bottom of the well in terms of their own healing or their therapy, because once they get out of that field, they won't have the result. Now, I'm not critical because I think they're being taken a certain way along the road, but they're not getting to the end of the road. And that's why I like to claim that the real work being done is when they recommend, when the people themselves recognize that they're doing the work themselves and not the healer or not the process. So that's what I just wanted to introduce here, because I'm very clear about this and actually have never really put it out so clearly as I'm putting it out right now, and as I did the other evening. So eventually I ended up, Japan is the country of many gods. It's an animistic society where they don't have just one god, which I think is good. They have a million gods here. And I said, none of the gods are real. None of the gods exist, really. They're just projections in our mind. God doesn't exist. But what does exist is source, which we can't describe, but source is the creator of all the gods. And the source is the area like mycelium in the earth, which is where we are all connected. And we don't need gods. We just need to connect into source. And we're all connected there. So we don't need to put any God between us and source. So I've gone on a bit long, but that's the input I'd like to give before we go into, I know what will happen next, the breakout groups.
Thank you, Peter. We don't need gods between us. I'm picking this up. Yeah, thanks a lot. I would like to share the questions here in the chat you see before we send you into breakouts of 3. So each person has 3 minutes, and the invitation is for you is in the little groups that you check in how you are. Maybe you want to introduce yourself if you're together with new people, new faces. And this second question is either that you share your thoughts or your question for today, or your resonance to what Peter just said. And yeah, enjoy to listen to each other and one person after the other. And we will get you back in about 9 or 10 minutes then. And Antonia has prepared the breakouts. Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Hello.
There are some smiles on the faces coming back. That's nice.
Mhm.
All right. Peter's here. We are all here. I'm curious and would like to invite you to just start. Who wants to bring in something? Please use the hand. Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh,
Great. Welcome. Pelle, would you like to start?
Yes. So I am quite uh, much into source work now and exploring that, and also beginning to explore it together with clients. An executive coach, and I wonder about this ghost ships. I meet a lot of companies where the source is long gone and nobody knows about the source, and the company has been sold several times to different investors, and the focus is on growing the company or making it more profitable, and I come in there and I want to apply source work, but what do I do in that type of situation, or what
mhm.
is a good way to approach it for a company? I don't need to be involved, but I'm
Yeah,
interested in that when the source is not there, and sometimes people try with different exercises to come up with a purpose or the
oh,
values,
yeah.
but it's not really coming from a source. It's more like a rational, this
Mm.
sounds like a good purpose. So that's the question
Thank
I'd
you.
like to pose.
Thank you, Pelle. Very happy to answer this, and it may be valuable for everybody. Um, my experience is that you need to be like a detective. It's fascinating to do this, to try to do this. So the first thing I do, I just share what I do. The first thing I do is I look at the company website. You can really get a tremendous amount of information just by looking at what the company puts out publicly. So the first thing I do is to look into the company history if it's cited on the website. Now, if it isn't, then then you can be clear that the company is already in terrible confusion. But if it's cited on the website, ideally, there will be a history of the founder. And what we're looking for is the connection from the founding moment right up to the present in terms of the history and how well that has been, how well the chain from one hand to the next hand has passed. So if the company still exists, there is a present source somewhere. So um, so you so when you meet people in the company, you can also get a sense of who the source is or who they think the source might be. When the source says something, the person who is source says something, it usually in a meeting, it usually has greater weight than anybody else that is saying it. So you can get a sense from that as well. So you just even before I knew or did anything about writing up or researching source principles, I was actually using this intuitively myself as a young man in companies, in the companies I was working with. I was going around and I would be silent in the meetings I attended, and I would just notice who is the most important person in this meeting. And very often it was somebody who didn't say anything for a lot of the time. And then they'd say 3 or 4 words, and all the attention would be focused on that person. Well, that's an indication that that is the source person. So the source person is still existing. The idea is to find the chain from the founding person right up to the moment. If it's been sold, the question is who took the initiative in the company um, to sell it, or who took the initiative outside the company to take a succession of it in some way. So, we're looking at, if it's been running for some time, we're looking at succession processes. And very often you might find that the present CEO is treated as if he or she is the source, but a good succession hasn't been done, and the source may be outside the formal structure. And if the source is outside the formal structure, they are getting the vision, and the CEO is having a very difficult time because they're trying to be in charge, but they don't have the vision for the next steps in the company. And occasionally what happens there is that there's an old maybe employee or specific source who is still in the structure of the company and is still in contact with the source, the source who is outside the company and is still source. So I'm giving a few indications of pathways to answer your question. I'm wondering where it stands now with you, how you're doing with some of these answers.
What I'm thinking is the situation where the source, the original source, was not competent enough to take the company. These are smaller companies, like 30 employees, and the source took it to that level, but then was not able to delegate, build structures or anything. So basically left the company, and many times didn't even have a vision of a great company, just wanted to work, make a job for himself. And then, but luckily made this, and a investor comes in, buys the company, puts in a professional CEO that has a lot more experience of building the company from this level to the next level, but the source is lost somewhere. Or is it possible for this person to become a new source using this structure and bring in a new vision? Is that possible, or?
No.
Okay.
It's not possible just to ignore the original source. It's like, let me give you an analog, a metaphor or analog. It would be like saying, the mother has had a baby, but she's a really incompetent mother. So I'll take over the baby. We can just ignore the mother. I'm a father, I'm a man even, but I'll be a good mother. That's a kind of equivalent statement. So I think you can see that's an impossible situation. But in terms of companies, it would work a little different than my example, because it could work if the source person is included in the process. So if the source person wants to do a succession to the new CEO and does an orderly and good succession, that will work. Okay. Or if they lay down let's say their baton or their torch and say, look, I'm not interested in the company anymore. And the new person comes along and picks it up and has a new vision. Okay. But if the source person with what I call their pathologies just leaves, doesn't pay any attention, doesn't take any responsibility, but remains source, then the company there'll be tremendous difficulties. The company will be in a sort of attrition. And so the thing to do is to find out who was the source and to bring them back in terms of the process.
Is that to have the ritual of the succession is more important than going back to what was the original vision, because many times I feel that the source doesn't have a bigger vision than exactly where the company is.
Well, that's the source that nobody else can decide that, you see. As source, you can't, nobody else can say is connected to the company's vision other than the source. So you can have an opinion about it, but you can't be in the position to know. Nobody else can be in the position to know because the source is the creator, and the creation was connected at all levels to the vision and the realization of what is to come next. Now, you bring in strange investors, they see the product and they say, oh, we can scale this up. But that's insufficient. Insufficient. It's the source that needs to decide the next step always. With the next step, the vision can develop and change as well. But it's always the source that it's, and only the source, the person that can really take that decision with clarity. Clarity is the organizing principle. So, so what needs to happen is that the source needs to be brought back in, not to the company, but into the process of what's happening. And they need to be helped to get clear. That's the step. Because, we all have our pathologies. The source has his or her pathology, and they're not clear. So he or she, it sounds like, has stepped back, not taking responsibility as a result of a particular pathology. Because a source person is responsible for the full life of the project. So wherever, you're talking about a number of people, but just focus on one in your thoughts at the moment.
Yeah.
Wherever he or she is, she's 100% responsible for whatever's happening right at this very moment. And the people that he's attracted in there are likely to have the same pathologies as him or her, or the polarity of those pathologies. So you work on the polarity with the source to get a certain clarity for the next step. The next step may be a succession. The source decides, I'm not really interested in this business anymore. I just let it go. And then it's open for somebody else to pick up the torch and start it afresh. But until that point, I would say you'll be spending a lot of time and energy spinning wheels.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, I think it's a little difficult to see when the source, the founder, has lost interest and just wants to sell and get the money, which is what happens in several of these, and then just leaves. Is that enough is that kind of a succession, or is that?
It's no.
No. Okay.
No, it's succession. Every situation, you can have two situations that look almost identical and they are completely different. So one needs to talk specifics to really see the situation.
Okay.
But a succession process is like handing over, is an act of love. It's not about the money.
All right. Okay.
It's an act of love. It's like getting married. It's such a deep connection where you're handing over your baby to somebody else to be looked after, and both parties are at a special moment engaged in that process. So it's not about just selling the shares.
Oh no. So okay, so that should be included then if this is what the source wants, it should still be a clear succession process where
Either a clear succession, there are these two it's either a succession or they have another vision and they they say they're not interested. As far as they're concerned, their vision can die. It's a death process.
okay.
So they turn their back on the whole thing and they're out.
Yeah.
But anything in between, the source is still holding it. And that has to be taken into account. The original source is still present and still active, even if they think they're not. They may be out on the golf course, but actually what's happening is that they're still receiving the information for the next step. And the new CEO is not receiving it. It needs that information. They're not receiving it. That's the problem. That's the big problem. I mean, there are many cases like this, and that's the big problem. And so the CEO, after a time, will be chucked out by the investors because won't be able to do that job. You'll see. Just keep watching, and we see this in many companies. You know, the so-called board appoints the new CEO. He's a brilliant person. After 2 years, he's not doing the right job, and you bring in the next CEO and the next CEO, next CEO. And you know, we have the wonderful model of Steve Jobs, who was kicked out, but you know, things didn't work until he came back again. Okay.
Yeah. So to conclude, it's to find the source and then have discussion.
Yes, you'll see it's fascinating when you start talking about the source, with the source, when you find that person and you find that, you know, you can find many different people who were around him at the time, early people, talk to them and find out who is the source. When you get to that source, you'll see how interesting it will be to the information the source will still be giving you. I spoke to a source who was kicked out 25 years previously. The person who contacted him was on the phone to him, and it was in Denmark. You're in Sweden, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Sweden.
You're in Sweden. It was in Denmark. The person, a young guy, called him up and said, "I think you were the source of this initiative 25 years ago." The person at the other end of the line, who was the actual source, burst into tears. Been holding it for 25 years, actually, doing other stuff, but always knew that he's the source, not recognized. And had gone through incredible development processes in 25 years, of course. And he was incapable of running the company at the time. He was source. It's exactly your situation. But 25 years later, he's still source.
Okay. And still,
and the work we did was to bring him together with his number two, who kicked him out, and had a reconciliation. And it's, you know, even now it's not completely done, but it's a process. So I just want to share that with you, and I think we need to move on.
Yes.
We have some more hands up.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Pelle.
pleasure.
Thank you. Mitra, the floor is yours.
Great. Hello. Hi, Peter. My name is Mitra. Hi. I'm calling from Washington State on the west coast of the US, and I've been following your and Nadja's work for a while. And I have a question today about, I guess the theme I've been wrestling with that I thought you might be able to shed some light on relates to generosity and sort of the distinction between generosity and foolishness or people pleasing. I'll give just a little bit of context. I'm traveling right now to build my practice and my business. It's an educational business, and I'm enjoying a lot of people's hospitality. And I want to be a good guest, and I want to be generous. And I'm not really sure what I can afford. I'm putting my savings into my business, and I've always found it difficult to set prices. I'd rather give things away for free, but that hasn't really worked really well for me. And I also know I have a really powerful template around generosity that comes from my mother's culture. It's very elaborate, but it only really works within that culture. And even though I know that, I feel a little dissonant when I'm not operating in that sort of like overflowingly generous way. So I'm curious if you have any reflections on this.
Do you have a specific question of a situation, or can you make? I get the general tendency, but do you have a
I
specific?
mean, I could give a very specific example. I mean, that's
Yeah.
maybe emblematic. For instance, teaching, like doing a training or a workshop in a city where I'm being hosted by the community, by organizers, and being invited for dinner, by somebody, and having, at their restaurant, for instance. And then the question of like, should I be comping my hosts and this person who invited me to dinner and all of the people who organize the restaurant at the small workshop that I'm doing the next day? Like that's maybe one very small example that I wrestle with. Like I wonder, should I be giving my services away for free, and in what situations, and how do I
So,
create like
so,
a logical system around
so
this?
how good are you receiving gifts?
Um, um, I don't know what it means to be good at receiving gifts, I guess. Um,
Do you like receiving gifts?
yeah.
Or do you have a little bit of difficulty?
Um,
Do you feel when you get a gift, do you feel you have to give back?
yeah, maybe I'm not sure. I'm not clear about that.
Okay,
I
because
think
that's
maybe
what I'm,
sometimes gifts are a bit of a currency sometimes.
because that's what I'm kind of hearing
Hmm.
from you here.
Hmm.
So,
I like
um,
giving gifts.
yes,
I
yes,
like
that's
making
clear.
gifts.
That's
Yeah.
that's been in your culture, or you were saying your mother's culture. You're
Yeah.
meant to give. That's why
Yeah.
I'm asking you about receiving.
Yeah, I don't know.
So let me just try something else. So when you give a gift, what happens if the person at the other end doesn't like to receive the gift?
Well, that's really confusing. I mean, I have different kinds of gifts. So there are gifts that I give that feel like a little bit of obligation, that always have a little bit of weird energy in them. And then there are gifts that I give that I know I'm fully aligned with, that I'm like excited about
Hmm.
making and creating.
And
So
what about if you're excited about making them and the other person doesn't want to receive them?
yeah, that's really difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would I'm asking really the question, aren't you that other person sometime?
Hmm.
When somebody wants to give you a gift and you're having difficulty receiving it. So
Hmm.
we're coming to the question really of when a gift passes
Mm-hmm.
generously,
Mm-hmm.
who is giving the gift to whom?
I don't know why that makes me so emotional. I don't even know if I understand the question.
So so where we're at is that actually by receiving the gift, you are actually giving generously.
Just by receiving it.
Just by receiving. By the grace of your receiving, you honor the gift and you give to the giver. And that is what true generosity is. Anything which is in a calculation is not generosity. It's coming out of some some part of, like you could say, your identity, false identity, false idea around generosity, that I have to be generous
Mm-hmm.
or have to give. But that's not true generosity. The generosity is the ability to give with pleasure and also to receive with pleasure, so that the gift gets truly honored in that moment, and
So that the gifts gets truly what?
truly honored
Truly
in the
honored.
moment. So somebody wants to invite you to dinner and host you, and and um, and they're loving doing that. Now, they may not be loving doing that. They may be coming out of a false generosity as well. But they may
Right.
be honestly wanting to do that. So, this is the whole subject you've raised around generosity. So there are other people who have the same question as you. And if there are two of you in this situation, it gets a bit tricky. But you need to work on yourself first around that. And the subject is around being able to receive graciously and see that I'm generous on one side, and the other side of it is I'm mean. So you have permission to be mean as well.
Mean is the opposite of generous?
Well, I'm suggesting it. So with our reclamation work, which maybe you have already encountered, or have you not encountered this?
I've watched many of these sessions when you've
Well,
done that kind of work. Yeah.
Can I ask you, if you're willing, just to say to yourself right now, I am mean. I'm a mean woman.
I'm mean. I'm a mean woman.
Mean. Yeah. And what does that do to you? What do you feel when you say that?
Well, my eyes narrow and I feel a little bit straighter, I guess.
Tighter? Or where are you?
Like a little bit further back, like stronger somehow.
Yeah, okay. So try saying I'm mean, and I give myself permission to be mean.
I'm mean, and I give myself permission to be mean.
Yeah, how does that feel? Now your mind
Feels
is coming in.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Oh, it feels clear somehow. It feels surprising. It feels like a relief.
Yeah. So I'm mean, and it's really good.
I'm mean, and it's really good.
Yeah, that's right. It's really good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great. So there are situations, and I think you were kind of implying them before, where it's really good for you to be mean. So whatever that means to you, it may mean like charging high prices, or charging money. It may mean like saving money in a shop or something like that, being mean with somebody else's price. And there are situations where that will be appropriate. So you follow that when it's appropriate. It's not what your mother taught you.
Right.
But your mother was also mean. Was she not?
Well,
or is?
In some situations, she's boundaried. She's got boundaries.
Yeah. She's pretty mean. Is she still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she's a mean woman. And now let's go to the other side. I'm generous.
I'm generous.
How does that feel?
It feels normal. It feels like
what you think you're doing all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but also a little fuzzy, a little confusing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So now we've been into the subject, but how would you know when you're generous?
Well, I think it's when I'm doing something not out of a habit or a pattern or feel like I ought, but more like I really have made something, or I have something that I know the other person wants, like that it's coming from like some kind of insight into that person or inspiration.
So try try saying I'm generous whether I give the person something I know that they want, or I do it out of habit.
Well, I'm generous, whether I give somebody something they know they want, or I do it out of habit.
Yeah. How does that feel?
That feels untrue. That feels,
Yeah.
that's surprising.
Yeah.
Is that
So,
right?
yes. So what we work with here, we work with telling yourself a good lie.
Okay.
So this is a good lie for you.
Okay.
So I'm generous whether I give something that I know the person wants, or when I'm giving out of habit. So what
Okay.
you're touching, what we're touching in right now is your true generosity. So you're generous whether you're giving something that you know the person wants or not, ultimately.
Okay.
And you're also mean. And it's okay to be mean. So these are two phrases I'd like to just leave you with, and just to allow themselves to work through your body. And they are like polar opposites, but actually they fit together. When you'll find that when you're being at your meanest, you'll be at your most generous. And when you're being truly generous, you're probably being really, really mean, like your mother.
I'll have to integrate that.
Yeah.
I will work with these
So if
phrases.
we can leave you with that at the moment.
Yeah.
And if you, I can recommend you doing CU money as well, like Pere was, if that could be very helpful to work on these sort of things.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'll
you.
look
Thank
into
you
it.
for your courage in coming forward with it.
Thank you,
I'm
Mitra.
glad I did. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Peter. Time is flying, so we
Yeah.
have only some minutes left, and we have two hands. And
Okay.
maybe we can invite Greg and Marcus together, and maybe you just bring in your questions. Not sure if we can answer those in so little
So
time.
we'll do quick question, quick answer. Let's have
Yeah.
Greg first.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. Greg, go
Yeah,
ahead.
mine might be short. So I have an app. I just launched it on Saturday. I have to write on the website the about me, and it's kind of like what you were mentioning about, a good website talks about the about me with the moment. How do you talk about me as the source, for your public, how you talk to people, or for your website? What of all the million things you can focus on?
Well, you're asking the wrong person. It took me 12 years to do my website, and I didn't do it in the end.
But how do you talk about, like, when you publicly talk about your about me, like, what do you say?
Well, probably a little bit of your history and what your passion is. I think that's the bottom line, your passion, and why you're doing what you're doing.
But why? Why bother saying that?
Because people want to feel you. They're not ultimately interested in what you're producing, although they're interested in what you're producing, but they're really interested in who you are, and what your passion is that led you to produce this. So that's, I'd say, the bottom line. And to have
That's a hard one. Yeah.
to
I
have
mean, we've
some
run out of time, and so I need to yield my time, but I think that's the problem, which is
yeah.
but what do you say?
Okay. So you connect with source, connect with your inner thing, and just start writing.
Okay. I will try that.
And if you're not clear, look up Charlie Davis, Very Clear Ideas.
Yes, I have. Good idea.
Good.
Yeah.
Great, Greg. And there's another tip in the chat from Antonia,
Okay.
if you want to have a look at it.
Yeah, there are many tips amongst what I've been talking about, we could have many people sharing on all these subjects that I've been trying to deal with so far. But anyway, let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead, dear Marcus.
Okay, thank you, and hi together. Hi, Peter. I'm here for the first time, and when I heard Pelle talking about the incompetent sources or businessmen, I thought I am exactly one of this. I built a company in the last 15 years, 30 people, and I really, it is very hard for me to build structures, and I'm very exhausted now. And in the next days, I think I want to initiate some kind of selling process. It will be maybe in the next 1, 2, or 3 years. I only want to start it now slowly. I would like to have 1 or 2 recommendations for this process about source.
Well, why do you need the structures?
Sometimes it feels a little bit unclear about who has to do the decision in the company and something like this.
So, have you come across the books on source yet, or anything? The thing is, if because of this you sell it, let it go, and start a new company with a new idea, a fresh vision, you'll be back in this same room in a year or two's time with the same question.
I heard about your work last year from Sylvia and Alfred. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting for me, but yes, there are also questions, and how exactly does it work also with a projection on money, and yes. So
it's difficult in a short space of time, but I would say continue the work with Sylvia and Alfred. And my question to you would be, are you really, really, really ready and want to just let go of the vision that you had for this company? And does it make sense? Or is your passion still in the original reason raison d'être that you actually started it, when you were obviously passionate and you attracted all the people in there?
that's a good question. Yes, thank you.
So, there's no reason to let it go. It's just a question of being clear what the next step is. It may be some kind of structure, but it may be something around your relationship, I would guess, to the people, to your, what I call your sub-sources or your specific sources. My guess is that there's work to be done in that relationship, whereby you might be wanting to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you just say, well, I'll just sell, get the money, and then I'll do something with the money and maybe start up something new. Unless you've got a very clear idea of a new vision for something, and you can say, oh, the old one, I don't care what happens with the old one now, I'm really set on the new one. But then you need to be, as a source person, you need to really look at what you have done in terms of your responsibility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are a few subjects in there. So
Okay.
Keep talking with Sylvia and Alfred, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
let's keep talking, Marcus.
Yes,
and with Angela as well. All right. Wow. Thanks a lot for this rich evening. So we had really some basic lecture about source and also projection work, Peter. Thank you very much. Are there any closing remarks from your side, dear Peter?
Well, the only closing remark I have, I hope everybody we haven't had a multiple discussion with many people. I hope it's been useful for many people here, for many of you here, the subjects that we have been dealing with, and that you're able to use in in various different ways in your own enterprises in life. And thank you for the hearts and thumbs up that are coming up right now. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, wow. I'm feeling very touched. Yeah.
So hard to shower.
Wow.
Dedicated to you, Peter. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you
If you
for all of you
want,
that I know, and all those smiling faces, and all
yeah,
of you that are newcomers and I don't know. I really appreciate your being here, and it's very valuable. Yeah.
and all the
Thank you,
best to you,
Sylvia. Thank you,
Peter.
and Antonia, for being behind the scenes and hosting us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Maybe you unmute yourself. Maybe you want to say something, say goodbye, farewell, and
Have a good summit of summits, Peter.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
The best.
The
good
big
luck for
whole
Japan.
projects
Yeah.
happening.
A
Thank you
bientôt.
very
A
much.
bientôt.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Bye bye,
Farewell.
everybody.